Another hot topic in AI that we see a lot about is ethics.
Ethics doesn't just lie with your risk functions. And these small companies, they probably don't have anyone that they've hired just for risk governance. Ethics is very, very much frontline. It should be instilled into every single employee. It should be instilled into the CEO. It should be instilled into your investors that this is something you stand for. From the minute you have the idea, all the way to the end product, you've actually delivered something to the client. Do I need transparent algorithms in this case? Yes or no? What does my end user think? How am I using the data? If it was my data that was being used, do I feel comfortable with this use case? People have to be empowered to speak up at any point in that time, and they need to be able to do it in a way where they're not going to be in fear of their jobs or get slapped on the wrist the next day for killing the project. And I think every single different type of person can play a different role in that. A data scientist, they want to make sure that they're working with the best possible data sets out there, making sure it's not biased. If you're working with biased data sets, it's impossible to think that the end product that you deliver to your client or internally for the business isn't going to be biased. If you're doing facial recognition and you don't have a really true sample of the world, then there's so many interesting examples out there of how facial recognition only works for Caucasian men. It doesn't work for women. It doesn't work for people of color. But if you've gone to the effort of making sure that your initial data set was unbiased, that end product would probably be much more accurate on a cross-section. And then part of that as well is making sure that your internal teams also reflect the kind of diversity and the unbiased perspective that you want to build into your business as well. This isn't just about demographics. This is also education. This is also work experience.
So diversity is really the key word here. Diversity of experience, diversity of methods, diversity of data.
Diversity of thought and education. Well, I think ultimately there's so many studies out there that talk about how more diverse companies are doing better overall. You can see it every single day. If everyone looks and feels and thinks the same way, if everyone is trained from the exact same school of thought, you'll never be able to think outside the box because you just become an echo chamber. And that echo chamber, it has downstream impacts when it comes to things like compliance or risk or transparency or legal.
And certainly if you don't have a sufficiently diverse just input going into the product, it's not going to do what it's supposed to do. It's not going to work the way it's supposed to. The client won't be happy. You may end up with discrimination actions against you.
And I think bringing risk functions very, very early in that process will ultimately help with that downstream liability as well.
And that's what's so insidious about it, is not the risk of someone intentionally building a product that's skewed towards one or the other, because what good is that? It's the risk of building the bias without realizing it and unintentionally ending up with something that doesn't work properly.
There's so many minefields for us to navigate, and nobody has all the answers right now. And so by having these conversations, by making sure that you're aware, by making sure that you are champions within and outside of the organization for ethics and privacy, you're going to build a better product in the end. And you might not necessarily be able to limit all of your liability, but by having open, honest dialogue at every stage of the journey, then you'll be able to learn from mistakes that happen, and the end risk and the end liability that you're actually managing at that point in time will probably be significantly less than what it could have been.